my mouse from showing, because that'll get annoying for people, I'm sure. Or sometimes it's helpful. You guys can let me know. I'm gonna refresh my chat because I have no idea who's in here, who's not in here. But I'm excited, guys. I'm really looking forward to seeing what the team has in store for us and whether or not it's I don't know, if expectations are up to scratch. Would that be a fair thing to say? Or would that be a little too harsh? So, yeah, I'm gonna let the music play for a little bit. So if you hear silence, don't worry, I am here. Hey, Trey, good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. Excited to have you here. Yeah, I really appreciate you taking the time. I know that I think was it you who commented earlier on my post? And I was like, nice, this is good. It's nice to get a reply. Let me check the post a second. Because no, it was not you. It was Chambers, but that's fine. I appreciate I appreciate everybody. Um, yeah, I'm excited for this. This is the first time I've done a stream for a developer live stream. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna do some magic here in a second so that I can bring myself up on screen. I think it's a little less disconcerting, or just like feels like there's nothing to look at. I really wanted to have Destiny up so I could be playing it, and it's failed me. Destiny, you let me down. Why do you do this to me? Okay, unmute that. Fix my camera. Okay, please, Zoom, please don't crash on me. That would be not good. Okay. Cool. I don't know, we have really terrible lighting in here today. Oh, it's probably because everything's dark. Okay, how do we... Trying to figure out here right now how to switch. Ah, here we go. Light theme. Oh, good lord. That is so bright. So bright. I don't know how to... Weird that it won't change for me here. Content. Live. How do I... Nope, that's not right. Bear with me a second. Trey, we've had many run-ins. Yeah. No, I definitely recognize your name. Um, no, there are, like you, there are a few people who regularly comment a lot, so I just appreciate the fact that you're here and that you've taken the time out to throw up a tab for me and just be part of Destiny stuff. I'm thinking about doing these streams maybe monthly, I don't know, or weekly. Depends on how well this goes. I've never really tried to stream because I've never really considered myself a streamer, and also probably because I've never really I haven't been in the past as self-confident as I should be Um, no idea. Wait, hold on. Oh, sorry. That's for a second. I was like, did somebody just gift me a sub? What? But no, that's in in the in the stream. Let's just have a quick look at the chat. Somebody gifted a sub. I don't know who to, but yeah. Anyway, that's that. What were we doing? We were in the midst of trying to refresh this page. It's showing like I'm really dark, so I normally use my let me, can I change it here? Can we change the dashboard theme, guys? That's what I'm faffing about with in the back end here because I want to throw up my camera, but I also was realizing that okay, I look blacker than I normally look, but at this rate, it might just have to be the way that things are. So you should. Is this minimized? What is going on right now? Zoom, hello. Zoom meeting. Okay, hold on a second. Automatic. Hello. Oh. Well, it would help if the layer was like above. Let's move this down. There we go. Hello, everybody. Let me make some brief tweaks here to this. Oh, let's reduce the size of my gigantic head because ain't nobody need that. Nobody needs too much of Samlab's face all over the place. But yeah, it's good to be here. It's good to see everybody. Yeah, thank you so much, Trey. I really appreciate you saying that. It's not something that I hear often, but it's good to know that there's some value in what I'm bringing. So that's really helpful. So thank you for letting me know that. Oh, here we go. We are starting.
So Kepler's a place touched by the Nine, concealing a lot of secrets and danger. And it's somewhere that human scientists traveled to a long time ago to research a dormant singularity. While living on Kepler, not only did they observe the collapse, they survived it.
Wild.
And over time, the ideals of the scientific process they held to were enshrined in their culture, and they came to be known as the Ionians. The Elixni House of Exile arrived during the Dark Age, weary from the Long Drift. They didn't invade Earth with the other Elixni houses. Instead, they sought a new home, which they found alongside the Ionians. But the dark matter that permeates Kepler, and that they converted into the ether they need to survive, ended up being toxic. So when the Ionians failed to cure them, the house rose up under an archon, claiming to be blessed with prophetic sight. Now, the House of Exile is full of zealots.
Wow.
And they'll
Okay.
stand opposed to the Guardian as they walk the winding pathways of Kepler, learning more about what called them there in the first place. Guardian's paracausal power acts as a catalyst for the normally corrosive force of dark matter. These new powers will allow them to unlock long-sealed passageways for the Ionians as they make their way to the singularity at the core of the planetoid.
So from the start, we focused on building Kepler as more of a
Yo.
dungeon-like destination.
Yo, this is... They hit us with the lore immediately. I'll do my best
Fight your way across Kepler, you tap into dark matter abilities.
not to talk over things.
That expands your navigation and aids you in combat. These are all about going places you would normally think are out of reach.
Matterspark has you turn into this wild ball of arc energy. It's like nothing we've done in Destiny before. The Mattermorph ability lets you twist the objects in the world around you.
I wasn't sure how I...
You essentially co-opt the Fallen's teleportation networks and can use it to cross gaps you wouldn't have even considered before.
I wasn't sure how I felt
You'll
about
get
this
small
ability.
tells, an open vent, a broken window. things you want to remember because you might be revisiting them later.
Abilities can be upgraded, so as you unlock new perks, you can chain them into your build crafting in clever ways.
Oh.
By far, the most game-changing is one of Matter's
Okay.
upgrades. On Kepler, it lets you turn into Matter's
Pretty
purpose
wild,
and let you
guys.
summon a sparrow, wherever and whenever.
Oh, sorry.
It will
Let me
optimize
do
not
that.
only exploration,
I
but
missed your
also
message.
combat on future playthroughs and super creative
What
ways.
I'll do is I'll turn up the
There are
volume
tons of cool
on
combinations.
the...
You can suspend an enemy with Mattermorph, bend a path up toward the sky, and then in mid-air, leap into Matter's
How is that for you guys now? Is that a little bit better?
The team has already seen players pairing abilities with different exotic perks and aspects to create some really crazy builds.
We know this is only the beginning and can't wait to see what happens once players get their hands on this kit.
Hopefully it's okay. Okay, that was pretty cool. Little miniature devlog.
All right.
Dylan.
Hello, welcome to Bungie, and
Hello.
welcome to our Destiny 2 Edge of Fate live stream. This will be the first live stream that we have leading into launch. Big shout out to the folks that we had on our Dev Insight video. We were just talking about Kepler, destination abilities, some of the secrets of Kepler and the Aeonians, but we're going to leave that for a later date for you to discover. Today we're going to be talking a bunch about Sandbox. We have a bunch of core feature updates with Armor 3.0, gear tiering, some new loot for you to grind out, and a bunch of cool things to show. So without further ado, let's get to it. We have a wonderful panel of developers on our couch. Some of them are new, some of them you've seen before. But yeah, let's start out with Eric. How you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for asking.
I love that Eric
For
like
folks
looked
that maybe
directly
haven't
at the
seen you on
camera.
Previous live stream where you've talked about burst weapons and all the cool ability stuff. Who are you? What do you do?
Sure. I'm Eric Smith.
Thanks,
gameplay
Chambers.
lead on Destiny 2, and I'm excited to dive into our sandbox changes.
Awesome. Vivian, hello. Welcome to the live stream format. We've seen you on ViDocs from time to time, but yeah, for folks that haven't met you, seen you on our ViDocs. Who are you? What do you do?
Yeah, I'm Vivian Bex. I'm a sandbox designer on Destiny. I get the privilege of making like a lot of the toys that players get to use, you know, like weapons and stuff. Recently, I've kind of been all over the sandbox team, and I have some very exciting stuff to show today. I'm really excited.
Man. Yeah, we'll get into that in a minute. And last but not least, end of the couch, Bjorn. Taylor Bjorndal. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Happy to be
Who
here.
are you? What do you do here, buddy?
Taylor Bjorndal, associate weapons designer, sandbox designer.
I don't know if it's me, but Taylor
Talk about
seems super
done a lot of
nervous
stuff.
then, guys.
Excited to talk about all of the million things we changed.
Yeah, right.
All of the million things we changed.
Yeah, it's been a bit.
Yeah. So as we're diving into this, we have quite a bit to go through in the show. And to start, we're actually going to be in the shooting range. We're going to have our gameplay specialist going through, showing you some of the new weapons, some of the new ability or exotics that are going to be coming. But this will be playing in the background. You'll see them tuning a couple different enemies, playing around, damage types, that kind of stuff. To start with our panel, though, let's talk Armor 3.0. Eric, if we can talk about like where did we start with ammo? Where was it back in the day? Where are we going? What's the high-level vision for our changes?
Yeah, so when Destiny 2 launched, we had armor in the game, but there were 3 stats. There were no mods available. And then with Shadowkeep, we hit Armor 2.0, where we added 3 additional stats for a total of 6, and armor mods as well. And this is the next evolution for the new saga of Destiny 2. In Armor 3.0, we are adding, or we're reworking the stats. We're adding set bonuses, and we are adding gear tiers as well.
Yeah.
And the kind of the goals with Armor 3.0. So one, we want to make armor more exciting and desirable.
Set
When's the last
bonuses?
time you saw
Nice.
a purple armor dropped, and you were.
I mean, we
thrilled
had
to
those
go pick
already,
it up
but-
and see what was inside. And then we want to rework the stats to make sure no stat is left behind, no stat feels mandatory. And give you further depth of build crafting in your armor roles, essentially.
Yeah, and then an underlying goal as well that I've seen you execute upon and the team really is approachability. There are a lot of new UI tools where you're hovering over perks, stats, all that kind of stuff. You're seeing actual percentages, you're seeing more full descriptions for things, helping newer players or returning players get reacquainted with the sandbox of Destiny.
Yeah, in this release and in coming releases, we are absolutely focusing on making the game easier to digest and understand what's going on.
Yeah,
It's
I really
looking at
wish
the,
this was implemented
shooting range here
years
is a
ago,
great example of
I have
this.
to
Like
be
where
honest.
I can just go and see how much damage I'm doing and test out my weapons.
Because I think
test
that
out my
like
builds and see
approachability and
actual
playability
changes
is so
that
important.
My new armor and whatnot is giving me.
Yeah, and you can load in here with a full fire team of 6 if you want to check out raid boss damage, or just come in here by yourself if you're on Discord.
Oh, that's good to know.
Stuff. So let's really quick talk about stats. This is one of the major overhauls. A couple things are leaving, a couple things are being added.
This is gonna be my best friend. This range. I don't know about you guys, but let me know what you think. I'm digging it.
So we've removed some stats. We've removed resilience. We've removed.
Yeah, absolutely, Trey. When the devs are excited, that is 100% a good thing.
You know, starting from the top, we got health. Then we have melee and grenade, super.
I kind of love that the team left a little space exactly where I'm sat, because it kind of looks like I'm part of the stream.
Once you go above 100, you get an additional benefit put on top of the 0 to 100 benefit. And these, on the ability side, we are giving you kind of your uptime and how much energy you're getting in the 0 to 100 range. And then the 100 to 200 range, we're
Okay, so I'm going to jump in as... Oh, shoot. Okay, he moved. But their explanation about, like, how we're going to see percentages applied, and then also being able to see what difference that makes with armor sets, I think, for me personally, like, coming from an accessibility point of view, and as a player who's just like, when I see numbers, I don't know about the rest of you guys, but it can be daunting and overwhelming. But yeah, so looking forward to that.
Weapons stat before, and it's sometimes been you'd have to like hook into the artifact to make like a true weapons build, and we've kind of pushed further into that world.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think we saw some questions specifically about the weapon stat and PvP. I know y'all have been balancing in the PvP, making sure this is kind of like cherry on top. It doesn't change the time to kill too much, but it's kind of like a cost balancing factor, right? If you want that extra damage, you lose out on grenades, things like that.
Sure, yeah. So if you want to go all in on weapons, like your weapons are going to be more potent than they were before, but it's at the expense of your other abilities and that sort of thing. So we have done extensive testing to make sure we're not breaking PvP. That said, you know, in the first day this comes out,
here we go.
The amount of hours being put into this by genius members of the community is going to dwarf what we've done. So it's a little bit scary how much change we've actually put in this. The team's worked so hard across the entire game. Everything you hear today it's not apples to apples with the pre-Edge of Fate numbers and feel of the game. It really across the game we have just changed so much.
It's very different. It's not really easy to compare the experience of what's going to be in the next release to what people are playing right now.
But at the same time, it still feels like Destiny.
Yeah, it's that
like
quintessential feel of I got my gun, I have my abilities, but now it's how much agency.
Oh
do I
wait,
have
we
in
can
into some
okay.
of these things and embracing like a role-playing mechanic.
Yeah.
Can we spawn bosses in this thing?
I think the most common thing we say on like our sandbox channel now has just like emerged as, man, I can't wait for 900. Like the sandbox is really exciting. There's a lot of really specific builds you can do. Like if you want to be the melee guy, you can be the melee guy more than ever before, right? And it's I think we're going to see some really crazy stuff.
Yeah. Speaking of embracing some of these different lanes, we
The
actually
melee
have
guy,
freedoms out
okay.
with the Edge of Fate. Each class is
So
gonna
if
get
I
one
want to
new
go full
exotic,
wizard,
each
you're saying to me
embrace a
that's
different
possible
sort of
now?
vibe or theme, and yeah, you can see them on screen. I think first we're going to start with the Warlock exotic and Bjorn.
Trey, yeah, lol. Lol.
So first we have
I'm in agreement for you.
Warlock exotic themed
With
around
you.
the Hellion aspect. What this does is after your Hellion fires, after a certain amount of time, the projectile is going to shatter into a bunch of submunitions that will like seek nearby units and scorch them.
Yep.
So kind of
Yep.
like
That's
adds
the
a
exotic for
little
me.
bit of, like skill play.
100%.
That was kind of more of a passive aspect in the past.
That
Yeah,
I
and
can
think
see that being
the shooting range, we can
incredibly
see, like,
annoying in
It
PvP.
can be both a
And I'm
single
not
target
PvPer,
or
but that
a
seems fun.
group sort of ad clear exotic, right?
Yeah. It can kind of serve multiple roles, just kind of like amping up something that was like a trusty old tool to be something a little more that you have to like manually aim.
Yeah, and you can like, because it like splits in mid-flight, you can kind of like control your spacing to like control the grouping of it. If you want to hit one target, you know, if you're at the right
a little
distance,
bit
you'll hit all
So
five,
it fires
and they'll like burst
once
right
and
early
splits
before.
into
Or if
4
you
additional
wait that
apart from
much,
the
like,
one
get a
you
region.
fired already, which is cool.
Yeah, and we can see on the screen too, like some of the looks of the exotic and the Hellion have changed.
Yeah, so like.
And
one
so
of the
you can
things
just keep
that
spamming
the
that?
Hellion itself, like the little solar buddy, will have the same X that the gauntlets do. So it's like a
That's
nice,
insane.
nice little nod to like match the exotic.
Love it.
This thing looks so metal. I'm like so about having that big gas canister on my arm. Having that like flamethrower Warlock arm is so cool. I may have to start switching play Warlock.
Love it. Next up, I believe we have Hunter on docket.
Yeah, so the Hunter exotic is Moiai, which is a strand-themed exotic that's about your threaded spike and tangles, where you can basically like yo-yo a tangle from out in the field back in your hand.
Oh my
The way this
gosh.
works is if you have a tangle out in
That
the
seems
field,
wicked.
you throw your strand Hunter melee at it, it'll pop the tangle, and then bring one back to you that if you catch the spike, you'll get another tangle. So you can like duplicate a tangle, which works really well with a lot of Strand Hunter aspects like Whirling Maelstrom and just like
Wait, that-
existing
Oh, I see.
grappling to a tangle.
Oh,
So
boy.
you get like even more mobility and a lot of like add clear potential. And also it will return more energy.
I noticed that
when you catch it as well.
guillotine
So like even if you
is still
don't hit anything or you don't grab a tangle,
a
so it
viable
helps you
movement.
keep that engine going.
Yeah, you can see the strand energy
Tool.
attached to the threaded spike. So if you grab that, I love how we're rewarding that like perfect grab.
Yeah.
You
It's
can
like,
already hear people yelling "spin to win" as they're
Yeah.
spamming these things, right?
Yeah, I mean you can have
Literally
Beyblades
spins to
out
win
in
now.
the field at any time. Essentially, it's
And you're like zipping between the tangles with grapple. It's
Yeah.
cool as hell.
it's very strong. It's also going to be very strong with this artifact
Oh, yes.
upcoming, which we'll talk about. But another cool tidbit about this is the threaded spike will bounce to the tangle from enemies as well.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
it's something that has a lot of easy use and really rewards skill at the same time.
Yeah, I think before we move on to Titans, and sorry, Titans, we'll get to you in a second. Really cool exotic. I do want to talk about Gambler's Dodge. In the last TWID, we talked about a bunch of abilities changes, exotic tuning, that kind of stuff. And we saw some chatter around Gambler's Dodge. It was updated and reworked, right?
Yeah, we have reworked Gambler's Dodge. So
Okay.
it's the energy you get when you dodge. It now scales on your melee stat. But
Interesting.
you no longer have to dodge near enemies to get that energy. So I can dodge anywhere in the game. I don't have to worry about this invisible circle that's around me to know if I'm close enough. And
Wow.
it's going to feel more consistent. If I build into melee, it's going to feel more powerful. There's also
Yeah,
Taylor, you were talking about the,
Trey,
the
it's probably
multiple
similar for me
So
too.
if
Like
you,
I
like our
I
bar
probably
for a lot of
play
stuff is if
quite
you,
passively
set
too.
Stat, you'll get the full refund like you used to. But if you go beyond that, you'll actually get a little bit more, which most of the time doesn't matter. But like if you're using like a Fiddy Spade or any of the multi melee things or Stasis Shurikens, it'll go up to like 1 1/3 charges. So you can keep that going even better if you're fully invested in melee.
What
So
I'd be
more
interested to
reasons,
know, and I
like,
don't know if there's a
to invest
mathematical
in it.
number to
If
this,
you want
but
more melees, you want them to be more damaging.
and I'm just going to
go
mute
all
the
in on
stream
that.
for a second, is when he throws the spike or he does strand damage, my question is the little tendrils that like those that like jump off, only a few of them like auto aim. Like how much damage is lost for the ones that don't like reach a target? That's what my question is. Let's do the Titan thing.
Deeper into Destiny, the names get a little, yeah, but go ahead.
It's it's an exotic themed around something that people have been asking for a long time, which is kind of the fantasy of Thor's hammer. Of I want to be able to pull my hammer back to me after I
Oh,
throw it.
dude.
So there's like a little minigame loop here where you get a fire sprite, you pick it up, then you get a buff that lets you pull the hammer back to you. And if you pull the hammer back with good timing, it'll explode and
Are
do,
you
like,
kidding me?
stuff for, like, extra damage.
They literally made Titan's Thor?
And I think the hammer also will damage things on the return trip too. So if you
This is
position yourself well, you
insane.
can actually like send it back through guys.
Line 'em up.
Back, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've wanted to do this for a long time.
Wow.
It's been
Okay.
kind of a scary,
Complicated.
Yeah, it's hard to
This is
balance
oh
sort of thing
yeah.
where
This
it's
is
like
attractive.
returns all your energy, but it also you can pull it back to you at any time. So
The one thing I
Alex
noticed
really
though
knocked it out of the
is
park as far as
we've
you know, so
only
well, the balance
seen
and the activator and and
Solar and Strand.
You're talking about the
Did they
animation,
do
right?
anything
Yeah.
else?
I love the performance on this thing. We've got like this beat where it's like all this magnetic like handshaking. It feels so good. We actually did like a new tech thing on this where if you're like looking off to the side, we kind of move the player's hand a little bit, so you're like still kind of actually pulling the hammer. And
That's
it's,
I
the
like that.
first time we've done that with like a world object, and it's very cool. It feels really good.
Awesome.
It's super satisfying.
Yeah, I think so. We're going to be getting into some more gameplay and an actual activity in a minute. But before we go, I do want to ask for stats. And actually, two things. With your exotics, there are going to be gear bonuses that you can build on top of, correct? And that's a new Armor 3.0 feature.
Yeah, so gear bonuses when a new armor set drops. If you have 2 or more pieces from that armor set,
I'm gonna
you
let
will
him.
get an additional perk. If you have 4 or more pieces from that armor set, you will get another perk on top of that. So
One quick note, I've got to say, like, when Bungie's allowed to cook, I feel like these little things are the things that make Destiny what Destiny is, and like, you've tapped into a whole fresh audience with that hammer coming back to the Titan's hand. One, like every Thor fan, and I think every like Kratos fan is like, yes, okay, I need to play Destiny.
we have Force Converter at 4 pieces. We have a reactive booster, and sorry, go for it, Vivi.
Okay, I was just gonna say, like, so yeah, these are unique to the armor set itself. Something more than just like cosmetics that you might want out of these.
Gives you another reason to like go to
Right.
a specific place and pursue a specific armor set besides just fashion. Although fashion is still very
Although
important.
You can
Very
still
important.
use your armor synthesis and
yeah.
put the looks on these.
Yeah, and I mean, we also get to make perks that are like, I'm the this guy, you know, because you're investing so heavily in the four-piece perk. But what's really cool about this is like,
Did he say Force?
when we like launch.
I was about to say.
2, you know, releases or whatever. Just a little bit in the future, we're gonna see people go like, "Hey, remember that armor
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
you know, that
Mixing
I got?"
like something from 2 seasons ago
Right,
with
the
now.
2-piece perk from Kepler is really cool with whatever, and we're really excited about that.
Yeah, and then the second piece of this is going to be for the stats rework. Some of the fragments are going to be reworked as well to adopt new stats or change, right?
Yeah, so fragments still can
Love it.
Adjust your stats up or down depending on your build. And some of these, you know, because we've deprecated some of our
They've reworked the
perks,
icons.
or stats rather.
They
Some
look
of these
different.
are new. Like we're gonna have, you know, some of these will have weapon
Actually, no,
stats,
they're
which
the same.
never
Never mind.
happened before,
Ignore me.
which just opens up new build crafting avenues. We're gonna kind of wait and see how this lands, how the dust settles for all of the stat stuff before we go in and adjust these further. But yeah, I think players have a lot of different ways to build out their stats and become the grenade master, the weapon master, and whatever they.
Trey,
So, quick
did you
Dark Slide
forget
for
the
Childless
salt?
CG
Nope.
And Snivvyland for those last 2 questions. They actually asked them ahead of time. Feel free to keep dropping questions. And
Yeah,
we'll
I-
answer down here every so often. Now it is time to move on and let's talk about.
I really
some
hope the
new
marathon
stuff.
team borrows from this.
Vivian, you have been very excited about a new weapon archetype that is coming with the Edge of Fate.
New
Sure
weapons.
am.
Okay.
So for centuries, humanity has wondered, like, what would a legendary bow look like in the heavy slot? And today I have your answer. We are for Edge of Fate. We're
Okay.
holding a crossbow.
Sammy Cat
this is-
just like
So it is. It plays like
backflipped.
a new archetype, but it is technically a bow for the purposes.
Crossbow?
It's gonna fill all your bounties, that kind of stuff. Now, so when we went to go make this, we knew it was
guys.
a very cool fantasy, right? We want the feeling of like really drawing it back and it hitting a single target and doing a ton of damage. But we do have linear fusion rifles, right? And that's always the question is like, what does this do that's different? What's the fun gameplay here? And we settled on, well, you know, when you shoot that big heavy bolt and it hits your target, you can just go pick it back up. So this thing theoretically is a heavy weapon with
Okay.
unlimited ammo.
This is
You
this
can
is my
use the
weapon.
same bolt for an entire nightfall if you want. I would love to see someone do that. Go clear a dungeon without ever using anything else or whatever, you know? It's very cool. You have to put yourself in danger, you have to go grab it, but it's just such a satisfying loop to just like pull it out of some, you know, dead hive just put it in the rail, pull it back, use the same bolt to shoot someone else. It's great.
I saw in last week in a PvP playtest, I saw someone run the entire map with a single bolt, and they just kept it alive for minutes on end.
That was me. I'm sorry.
I can hear the PvP mains like when you said infinite heavy ammo. They're like, "Excuse me," but it's like you gotta go.
You
pick
gotta
that
go.
thing up.
Yeah,
so
but it's gonna catch. It's gonna catch on.
Very potent.
And in PvP, you only get the one. You gotta get the headshot, and it's very funny. It ends up being like this game of like keep away, where you're like, we cannot let Taylor get near this thing.
So as we're going into this activity, we'll get some gameplay footage. This is a good example of the portal system that we'll be talking about next week on July 1st. Make sure to tune in. But we're going to be taking some content from just the history of Destiny, and it will be in the portal to go in and play. Power progression, we'll be talking about that next week, so stay tuned for that. Vivian, back to the heavy crossbow though. You were talking about this being legendary, so that means random rolls, and you had mentioned bolts.
Yes, yeah.
Oh,
So
this is a legendary weapon?
You know, we got the talent grid, and you know, we always want to make stuff kind of like new and different.
What just happened to Destiny?
This thing does not have a magazine. We cannot put magazines on this, right? And it gave us the opportunity to like.
Guys, I'm legit excited.
Different magazine
This is
slug system look like. And
information
so what we're
overload.
going for is like we have bolt types, and the bolt types, instead of just being stats, they're going to alter the way the bolt actually behaves out in the world.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
dude.
one of them is like explosive bolt, where it's gonna put in a target, it'll like beep 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 beep, and it'll just explode. Kind of like a grenade launcher.
Sorry, I'm pretty sure my mic just peaked. Apologize. Let me adjust my.
Oh, you can say, if it doesn't have 3 names, it's
If
not real
I've
game.
been too loud, guys, I apologize. I know that that's frustrating.
I'm like, oh, you guys know better than I do the names.
Go ahead.
But yeah, so we have serrated bolts, and you can put like the bolt in a target with serrated bolts, and you can normally draw them back out of living targets, but if you have serrated bolts, they're gonna deal damage on the exit too. And it is so satisfying to like land the final hit with the pull, and you just pull back your bolts and you get them, and they just go fly.
I'll take that back. Yeah. When you first brought this up, I was just like, that's so
Wow.
Like, yeah. Gimme.
It's something.
Really quick, just on the topic of ammo, there are new ammo meters. Bjorn, we were going to talk about this in the firing range.
He's going to talk about that. Let me just lower his volume a second. Guys, this is insane. Okay, we're talking about essentially Bungie have just given us what would ordinarily be an exotic rifle or exotic crossbow as a legendary weapon that has 3 archetypes. And I'm going to assume they're going to work with like Void, Solar, Stasis, Strand, Arc. I don't know how, and like I don't know how many people have noticed this. I might do a video on this, but when you activate your prismatic pre-super, you can channel that energy into some of the weapons that you use, specifically trace rifles. So my question about this new arc bolt crossbow is, will we be able to channel prismatic energy into that, and will it carry through the arrow or the bolt that we fire? Because it looks like when you run to pick it up, it is low, like it has traces of like whatever energy was in it before you fired it. So yeah, I'll bring this back up.
But before we get out of combat, I do want to talk about, alongside the new weapon archetype of the crossbow, we have some new weapon frames coming to the game.
I don't know. Let me know if that volume was good, guys.
So,
but
let's start with the hand cannon.
All right, yeah. So we have the
New
Sprite
weapons.
Shot hand cannon.
Let's go.
It's like a big, chunky, beefy hand cannon that fires shotgun pellets.
Okay.
Very close range, but hard hitting. 2-tap PvP. I'm a little afraid of that, but you know,
But
I'm
it's
sure it'll
close
be
range,
great.
right?
Yeah,
Like,
it's very limited. It's like a sidearm, like big punchy sidearm, but like even less range than a sidearm. But like less precision reliant.
This thing has become my baby in
Yeah.
PvP. I love this thing.
It's pretty great.
whilst they monologue, pay attention to the enemies that you see running in the background. Some of them are covered in dark matter bubbles. So I'm going to assume that whatever happens in Edge of Fate will also impact all the other enemies like in the system as well. So hopefully they say something about that.
We have a new bow frame that's going to be coming.
Yeah, so we made a longbow, which is like a big, heavy war bow. Even slower draw than precisions, but more damage, and it has intrinsic overpenetration. So if you line up a bunch of thrall and you like hip fire a full draw, it'll just go straight through all of them with one shot.
Wow.
I love that our damage numbers have been squished a little bit. So they actually mean something now. Because if you look at how much damage this bow is doing compared to like each one of those pellets in the hand cannon.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Like when like in the live game where it's like I did 20,000 damage with a shot. I was like,
Yeah,
the
it's hard to
numbers,
compare.
Yeah,
Right,
start to be
right.
meaningless. But for me, we've just changed so much, and I can't overstate.
Yeah, see
like,
how the
how-
ogre has that bubble
yeah,
around
how
him?
much has changed and how this game is I guess evolving.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of those changes are like they go hand in
Yeah,
hand, right?
yeah.
Like, us changing
Chambers,
stats
I'm all
around,
about
us
that
making new builds
crossbow.
possible. A lot of these changes are all like they're all going to kind of combine to create something new.
Yeah. Did you see
I
the
noticed
first
that as
ogre,
well. Thank you for
with
pointing
the-
that out,
with the
Trey,
new,
that the
we'll
sigil
talk about
symbol
this next week,
changed.
but
Yeah, it looks like there's some
menus,
crazy stuff going on.
Very excited for players. to-
Definitely, I'm
New
excited to
veins,
hear
new
what's going to
modifiers,
be
all that kind
happening.
of stuff. And then the final weapon we got on tap is going to be a special weapon, another burst, shoots explosives.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
Mint retrograde.
So,
Okay.
I know a lot of people are big fans of rocket-assisted sidearms.
That
we have a
roll looks
rocket-assisted
nuts.
Frame pulse rifle. So that fits a similar roll, but a little bit different. It's got.
I wish
just
he
a
would
little
scroll
more
over
ammo
all of
upgrade
them so we can
than
see.
The sidearms got a bit more range and hits a bit harder. So it kind of fits in between like a fusion rifle and a sniper rifle. Also kind of fires a little bit differently than pulse rifles, which is interesting, just because like all of our pulse rifles have like different burst delay, but when you're firing each pulse, they all have like the same rate of fire. So this instead of being like
it's
it's like a bop.
it's like
So
a
it feels heavier
projectile.
and it's firing these, like big, slower projectiles, so it feels chunkier.
Thank you for doing a Dave Samuel
Yes,
impression.
I aspire to greatness.
Yeah.
This
We
thing
love-
is,
we
like,
love Dave
real
Samuel
cool, it's
on
real
this channel.
heavy, but it's also like, you know, like we said, it's like pretty ammo hungry. One of the cool things about 900 is like we have the ammo stat, you know, you can build into that, you can eliminate that downside.
Infinite
And I can see
ammo
where-
stat? Oh
Yeah,
my
same for the longbow,
gosh,
too.
what have
Like,
they done
there's some
to
perks
us?
On the random rolls that you can go in, less than the draw time. Like, sure, it's still going to be a little bit slow fiery, heavy hitting, but there's a bunch of ways that you can build craft and tune these things to feel good for your play.
Like you have like
Wild.
Wolfroll or other things that care about hitting multiple targets.
Yeah, right. So as we're going through this transition,
Okay.
we actually have a bunch more to cover, and gear tiering has been top of mind.
I'm going to
for
assume
a lot of players.
there's
that
a
was at the
reason we're
reveal
going
stream.
through
So Eric,
Sabathoon's,
I'd love to dive in and just revisit what's the high-level vision.
I was gonna
statement
say
for gear
oubliette,
tiering and
but
how we're getting players
Embargo
reinvested in
engine.
some of that.
Yeah, so gear tiering enables players to look at a piece of gear at a glance and like understand how powerful it is. So
Okay.
you can see those kind of 5 icons.
Yes,
dots there.
thank
This is
you.
a 5th tier armor piece we're looking at. And the stat package or the stat pool that each piece gives is going to depend on the tier. So you can see at tier 1 is going to drop between 52 and 57 stat totals. And then at tier 5, you are guaranteed 75 stats plus stat tuning, which lets you kind of add some.
Yeah, shout out to, there were a bunch of folks that were asking, what are stat bands? Because in the game right now, it's what is low to a given player. Like 62 feels low, but an actual definition is like 58 or lower.
Yeah.
In the game now, we have UI that tells you exactly what are the stat bands for each of the tiers, so you know what you're looking for.
Yeah,
as you're
that's
trying to build a
great.
200 or 150 or whatever.
I want to just pause that for a second. Yeah, this is, and I think it's not too much of a gap, right, guys? Would you say? This tier band, like being able to know that, okay, whatever we probably have now, I'm going to assume, okay, is somewhere between tier 1 and tier 2. And if you have really good rolls, I'm going to assume that like some of our end game runners are probably somewhere between like tier 3 and 4. Maybe a tier 5? Question mark?
Significantly more likely that when you get your drop, it's going to be something valuable. It might not be valuable to your exact build, but it will be valuable. It'll be the stat total that you want.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and with the new portal system, which we'll talk about next week, you're gonna have a score goal that you want to hit to get that exact armor piece, and it's like more targeted farming or more targeted. If I want to chase a certain thing, like I know what I have to do to get it, and when it drops, I know what it's gonna give me as far as the total value, right?
Yeah.
And
Okay.
it's just much more clear and exciting. So.
And go ahead.
I really like, we're mousing over here, the armor archetype. We now like display what things are going to be high on it and what things are going to be low. And they're like a little further apart where things are going to be spikier now. And so like, if you want to really max out stats, you can just look for that, emblem. You'll know what your armor is kind of like going to be good at. And it's
You can see that like at your main inventory level too. So you're just like mousing over like, oh, I just got a bunch of drops. What did I get? Cool. Is it gunner? Is it grenadier?
Right.
Like, what is the thing that I
Where
want?
does it say that?
Oh,
cool.
rather than you to go all the way into inspection and see like the exact.
That's
And the
really
last,
helpful.
The last detail on tier 5 for armor, we mentioned this in
My
the,
inner graphics designer is nerding out,
but,
guys, because
you
this
can get
is
to
good
11
UI
energy for
design.
your armor, so it helps with build crafting. You can get more of those armor mods slotted and that kind of stuff.
it goes to 11 now.
Yeah, right.
It
So
does
switching
better.
over to
These
weapons, though,
these
I looked at- we
changes,
have some,
these
examples
small
of tier
like
1,
quality
tier
of
3,
life
and tier 5 weapons to
puts
show
Destiny on
what
a
is that
whole different
progression
level.
looking like.
Yeah, similarly, when a weapon drops, I'm able to just glance at it and be like, oh, tier 1 weapon, it's going to have base stats, it's going to have a limited perk pool there. But then you can see at tier 3, we now have 2 enhanced traits. We have some of our columns are going to have more perk options in them. And then tier 5, so this is a tier 3. And then tier 5 is going to have even more. Like, look at the
That's
options.
like,
And
okay,
so
that's
much
crazy to me.
enhancement, And
Yeah,
we
tier
have
four, you
All
get
of
the
that can
enhanced,
be
weapon
available
mods, too.
in a tier 5.
Yeah, kind of like how armor is like you
It's
have
like
a much
GG
better
raid boss.
understanding of like when I'm starting an activity, what is the expectation of the things I'm getting. This like the multi perk and the enhanced perks kind of work for that too. So
Okay.
the odds of you getting that like specific
Rocket
gun roll or
assisted
multi-gun
frame.
roll, if you're looking for like the combo PvP PvE weapon,
Yeah,
are
we're
a
adding.
lot higher than
Wild.
like past activities where you're just getting okay, I'm gonna get 1 adept with 1 trait in each column.
Yeah, and we're adding a lot of depth. Like as we were hovering over those enhanced perks, they have additional things that they can do, whether it be stats or power for the perk. We're putting all of these details into the game so people know as they're getting into this depth, they can hover over these things, understand all the different stats. We'll of course have blog components. We'll have some guides that our players make, our creators make. We'll blast those out, but we're hoping to bring more of these sorts of things into the game to make it easier to understand. So
Yeah, that said, if you have a great weapon drop that, dropped this season or 5 seasons ago, if it's a good roll, it's a good roll. Like it's, just because it doesn't necessarily adhere to the tier system doesn't mean it is not equal or greater value in some
yeah, there was
Huge.
this really funny reference that Mactix made, one of our creators, where he had this beautiful giant sword, and he's like, "This is what I got today," and it has perfect
Mactix
rolls
getting
for
a massive
et
shout
cetera,
out
et cetera.
there.
And here's my new tier 1 weapon that doesn't really have good perks. Like, what are you going to use?
Yeah.
So to answer the question, Shadow on Blue Sky was asking, are my weapons that I have right now or armor, like, is that going to be viable in high-end content? And the answer is, of course. There are going to be a couple things in here that add incentive to try out new things, but Vivian, you had kind of framed it as a cherry on top, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And it's also like a way to, in the past, sometimes like the best way to get your path to power was like to do a lot of something. But now if you like do really hard activities as well, we're also just kind of rewarding you for the time there.
Yeah. So right at the
Talk
9.
about
Go ahead.
future gear stuff in relation to this.
Yeah, we will in a second, but I just wanted to touch on right at the 9. Some folks were asking, like, what do these equate to in the tier system? And when you get an adept right at the 9 weapon, both of your columns are enhanced, all that kind of stuff. Like, it looks like a tier 3. It's going to feel like a tier 3 for a while. So there is a good handshake as you're going into Edge of Fate.
Okay. That
But
answers
yeah,
my
the
earlier
last thing for
question,
tier 5
or my
gear, I would
earlier
like to
thoughts.
show the cosmetic treatment that we've been doing. We showed this in the reveal stream, but tier 5s have an awesome new shader treatment and also kill effects.
Yeah, so these
Ooh.
basically on the weapons, they'll come with like fancy shader on it, and then something almost kind of similar to what we do with Sweaty Confetti, but now it's like a specific slot where it gets a custom kill effect that only comes on the tier 5 iron.
Yeah, and you can see with gear tiering, it's kind of learning a bunch of lessons through the years of Destiny. Like, kill effects are really cool. Players like this. Now we have a new slot for it. Players really like hollow foils as a chase in the game right now, and now we have tier 5s where you get sort of a hollow foil style treatment for it. So it's been really cool to watch y'all develop this over time. But to your point, this actually is a good segue into the next section where we're talking about new and featured gear and our artifact. So Eric, if you want to take the stage,
Sure.
What is new or featured gear?
Yeah, so our new gear, when we drop new weapons and armor for a season or for a release, that is going to get a bonus. It's going to be a little bit stronger than your other options. So on the
So basically,
armor side, you're
any
going
gear
to
you
get
currently
a damage
have
resistance
is
bonus
doomed.
per piece you
I'm
have
assuming.
equipped, and that is, it kind of scales by gear tier. So if I have
Yeah,
5
kill effects
tier
sound like a lot of
1
fun.
armor pieces, I'm gonna have 5% damage resistance against everything. But if I have 5 tier 5 gear pieces, I'm gonna have 15% damage versus
Okay.
everything. So I guess
Fair.
yeah. So it is something that allows me to have a little bit of an edge. It's a very small amount. It's a min-max sort of situation where if I wanted to wear stuff that is not in the new gear pool, like I am not at a huge detriment.
Right.
But
Something that gives you like that little bit of edge to like inch out into like the highest tier stuff when you like really need just a little bit more health or a little bit more damage.
Yeah, speaking of damage, so you can see that the max is actually 10%. This is a clarification. We invited some folks into the studio to look through all of this. The original number was 15%. It's actually 10% on your additional damage when you get all your tier 5 weapons equipped. So again, cherry on top, where it kind of gives you that edge, and also it gives you a way.
Look,
kinda
I
like
really
in
respect
earlier
Dylan.
releases where you walk out
He's
into
a
the tower,
community
you weren't
manager
really
that knows
breaking
what he's
it. You're
talking
kind
about.
of like peacocking, as y'all have framed it. And now it's, oh hey, I have all tier 5 gear. This shows like not only have I mastered this content, but I've earned a bunch of really cool stuff, gotten all the gear I want, and now I can carry my team through.
How are we feeling about the look of the gear, by the
When it
way?
comes to
Particularly this
new
Warlock
gear as
set.
well, what's the way that you
Is it
identify
good?
that as a
Does
player?
it look fun?
yeah, so
I like the
if you
helmet.
See that little kind of teal icon.
Pretty
in the
sure
top left corner
every
of-
Warlock's
of
gonna wear
the
that
armor
helmet.
piece. That is going to that's going to tell me that it is in the new gear pool. So it's not only gear from this season or release, but it is also gear. It's like a collection of exotic pieces as well.
Yeah,
So-
we hop into the collections really quick. There's actually a new section that's going to show, here's our featured gear. So if you have some things from previous releases, those are going to be a part of the build crafting as well.
Correct.
A note for any newer players or returning players, some of these things are actually like, you can go to Xur, try to grab those. You can go into Rite of the Nine. Emissary is going to have a few things like Graviton Lance. That's a great thing to pick up before this new release starts, so then you have a little bit of an edge going in.
Oh,
If
I
you
li-
screenshot this, you can start.
it's
hunting this
it's
stuff down
clear
right now,
that there's
right?
gonna be
And-
some
and we
old
will have
Chicago
follow-up vlogs
discussion
where we're gonna go line
with
by
Kepler,
line. I understand,
because
like,
there was no
this stream
reason
has
for
a
him
lot
to
of data,
mention
it has a lot of
specifically
numbers, that kind of
Graviton
stuff.
Lance.
Big lists of gear. We'll have a full bulleted list, not just in Twids, but in patch notes as we keep going. So I think with that, we can go into the artifact as well.
Cool.
Yeah, so the artifact this time around, we're going and we're exploring Kepler. So kind of going with that theme is we wanted this to be kind of like, scout the wild frontier. And so to that end, it's kind of a little longer range weapon-wise than some of our recent artifacts. One of the other themes that we wanted to get was this is gonna be me and my fire team, So if you're scouting solo, we have stuff for solo. If you're scouting as a group, we have stuff as a group. Then lastly is we made this artifact a little more weapons focused than we maybe normally do, because we wanted to kind of highlight that kind of the Guardian's kit, kind of down to earth, kind of grit thing. Some of my favorite perks in these are in the fifth column. There's that first one is Radiant Shrapnel. And this is gonna add an additive shrapnel burst.
Dealing
where you're killing
sustained
guys
weapon
when,
damage while
they're
radiant.
or when, or when you're radiant or they are scorched. And I actually really like that, like, we pay out Scorched a little, because, like, sometimes you can't quite get that ignition, you know?
So
And
that's going to pair really well with the Warlock exotic coming out. Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Scor-
you can scorch
Scorched
one guy, you can
build
cause
has
spell
literally
over,
just
it's
come
very
back in the meta
The fourth one in
because of
this
this.
column also is a favorite of mine. It's Tangled Web. And this is going to suspend everyone when you generate a tangle via combat. And
Trey, if it's anything to do with Old Chicago, I'm gonna catch it. There's just no way I'm gonna miss
and
that.
it leads to a very fun situation where you can just kind of walk up and take it, and you're like,
I should probably tweet Dylan and be like,
and there,
Old Chicago? Question mark?
It kind of gets you there faster if you're not using like grapple grenade or something.
It works really well with the Hunter exotic.
It also works really well with the Hunter exotic. It's lots of fun.
Awesome. Yeah, I think, so there's a question from V Ferrer sorry if I pronounced that wrong, asking, are there going to be more seasonal mods? And with the artifact, you can see next major update, there's going to be another row, as people know. With the featured gear, there's also going to be added exotics to that pool. And Bjorn, I believe we are also making some new seasonal mods that'll be released over time, correct?
Yeah, kind of the same way that we did last season, where we had the like Taken theme set of weapon mods. We'll have the same thing for this release's theme. That you can find those out as they come.
All right.
He was so close. He nearly spoiled
we are
it.
at the end of the stream. Thank you so much for joining us on the couch. Everybody out there, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having us,
during
Dylan.
this live stream to see what we have to offer. We do
We
have
appreciate
another
you.
live stream next Tuesday.
I haven't. Let me find the footage of that. Where is it? Okay. There was. I don't know why you guys. I feel like YouTube these days is acting like really weird because it's not giving me what I'm looking for. I think it was like much later on that we got to see the Boltcaster. Here it is. This thing.
Hitting a single target and doing a ton of damage. But we do have linear fusion rifles, right?
This is This is really good. Let's bring my camera back up.
If you shoot that big heavy bolt and it hits your target, you can just go pick it back up. So this thing theoretically is a heavy weapon.
That concept of being able to fire something and go pick it back up, I think, is a clever archetype that like reduces the need to have to rely heavily on ammo, like having to heavily rely on ammo all the time. And I think that it's a really good shift in the meta to introduce something like this. And I think just like diversifies like the weapons and the ammo that we have access to.
With unlimited ammo, you can use the same bolt for an entire Nightfall if you want. I would love to see someone do that.
Yeah, being able to be to use that weapon like the entire Nightfall, that's me. Because there are situations, I think, and this happens a lot, where you be using a weapon, you burn through everything, and I wish I could open Destiny because I would show like my weapon setup, but I always have like the handling mod socketed, and I always have the all the like the is it the hand grip? I can't remember what it's called. Anyway, the one there's a mod that helps with like not getting as much like kickback from firing a weapon, and then there's also a mod for increased ammo. Yeah, thanks Trey. That's good to know. I'm glad that it's. I may just have to like uninstall Destiny and re-download it again because I'm getting tired of this, or just verify the game. But yeah, so.
Go clear a dungeon without ever using anything else or whatever, you know? It's very cool. You have to put yourself in danger, you have to go grab it, but it's just such a satisfying loop to just like pull it out of some, you know, dead hive, just put it in the rail, pull it back, use the same bolt to shoot someone else. It's great.
I saw in
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited, and I hope that you guys are too. So yeah, it's been a pretty long stream, but I hope that those of you who have tuned in live have enjoyed it, and those of you who are watching back on the replay have enjoyed it. If you have any questions or thoughts, as usual, definitely leave them in the comment section down below. And give this video a like. Let me know if you want to see more of these. I personally enjoy them when things are working properly. um, I think I have a sneaky suspicion either I'm going to need to do like a RAM test and see if like my RAM memory is failing. But I've been playing fine, so yeah, no idea what the situation is. But yeah, I hope that you've enjoyed this video. If you did, let me know. Pretty sure I said that. But yes, the next thing coming up is going to be the epic. I have a big lore video, and I think I'm probably going to stream that. And this lore video is basically, it's 2 hours long, telling you everything that you need to know about Destiny's lore in terms of the Nine. All about the Nine, their history, how things began with them, what they've done, where they are now, and what the future might be. So yeah, 2 hours long, I think, is one of the longest lore videos I've ever made before. It was definitely an upheaval. It was like this close from being a 3 hour long video. I was pushing for that hardcore. But yeah, 2 hours is a lot. It's a lot of talking, a lot of lore entries. So yeah, how much wham? How much wham I need to have. Yeah. No, I appreciate you, Trey. Thanks for being here. But yeah, I'm gonna leave this here, guys. Have a wonderful rest of the day. And yeah, remember that no matter what you're facing at this moment in time, that you can